to be race first. And anybody who is a direct descendant of the mother continent of Africa, who does not want to identify as an African, who wants to be a human being and all this other foolishness, then let them go do them. But I'm looking for people who understand they're African, are proud of the fact that they are African, and are willing to die for that. Because we die for everything else.
I think a lot of it has come from the pursuit of integrationism. After the civil rights movement, a lot of black people in this country were led to believe that we had made it. And part of being successful required us to shed our Africanity. Any Africanity must be shed and given up, and we must seek to amalgamate ourselves into this so-called European melting pot of America. I think with that, with the culture, with the history, with the knowledge of self, with the togetherness and the collectivity. And I think now we are beginning to see some of the side effects of that pursuit of integrationism. Because there's never really been a movement for integrationism. Nobody practices integration but black people. Nobody believes in integration. When Chinese people come to America, they build Chinese communities. When East Indians come here, they build East Indian communities. The only people who are trying to integrate with other people are Africans. And the reason we do that is because of our collective low racial self-esteem. The self-hatred that we have been conditioned to have is just as high now as it's ever been. And the information does not replace that. A lot of people think because they know all this culture and history that they're somehow no longer being affected by post-traumatic slavery disorder because they don't understand the mind. Every mind has a program just like a computer. Now you can put all of this information in the computer or you can take it out and put all this new information in the computer. But guess what? The chip, the processing unit is the same. So whether you have dysfunctional information or functional information, the processing module is still going to interpret that information in a way that works against the best interest of the community, which is the same. 30 years ago, you had gangs fighting each other. Here we are today with all this information. We're still fighting each other, but we're not doing it as Crips and Bloods now. We're doing it as nationalists versus the integrationists. The Wapian versus the Hebrew, the Moor versus the Socialist. So you see the fighting continues. All you did was switch out the information, but the chains of the slave remain.
Yeah. I was going to ask because Brother Malcolm talking about integrating into a house on fire. Why would you want to integrate into the white man's house? And I think we found out whether it was Jackie Robinson breaking into baseball and the Negro Leagues ended soon after that, or whether it was the Civil Rights Act that integration was here. So Malcolm gave us the watchwords that we needed, but we weren't listening to Malcolm. We were listening
very much so
to Martin.
I think that black people as a race suffer from battered spouse syndrome. In psychology, we deal with battered spouse syndrome. When a woman gets physically abused by her mate, he abuses her so much that she begins to lose her sense of self, and she begins to identify with her abuser. And it gets so bad that she will defend him to anybody who tries to get her to see that staying with this man might end up costing you your life. You see, in other words, he beat her down so much that her whole sense of self has been totally disorientated. That's what's happened to us. We have been beat down by white folks so much that we think that without them we cannot exist. That's half the equation. The other half of the equation is we are still not comfortable with being African yet. We're still not comfortable with it. See, when you say leave his house and go into your own house, even if you don't repatriate, even if you're not a repatriationist, you still have to identify with your Africanity. That means you got to identify with the black skin, the big lips, the big nose, the nappy hair. We're still not that comfortable with that. For example, if you look amongst brothers in the conscious community, you still see a lot of us date women who are not African-centered, who are very much Beyonce type, okay? And there's also a very strong light-skin supremacy issue in the conscious community where almost none of the dark-skinned sisters ever get dated. You see this. Look at most of our scholars. Almost none of our scholars are married to dark-skinned women. It's a light-skin supremacy issue even amongst the conscious community, right? And when we speak of light-skin supremacy, we're not speaking of light-skinned Africans. We're talking about a mindset that even dark-skinned Africans can have that says that anything darker than a brown paper bag isn't worthy of my presence. So you take Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, who's a blue, black, purple brother, but he's a light-skinned supremacist because he doesn't want anything around him that's not light, even though he's dark. So that color-coded reality is still very much with us, and light-skinned supremacy is a descendant of white supremacy. If I believe that you're better than me because you're lighter, then I must also believe you are inferior to the white man because you're not as white as he is. So even within the realm of light-skinned supremacy, you are accepting white supremacy.
It kind of goes to
Are still suffering from. One of the biggest issues I see in middle and elementary school are the light-skinned kids being beat up by the dark-skinned kids, and the dark-skinned kids being bullied for how they look by the light-skinned kids. You see it. And where did these children learn this from? Their parents. They're learning this stuff at home. Grandmothers and grandfathers, in particularly, I have seen, condition the children into color-coded values. They get it from their grandparents. You still see grandparents looking at the ears of the new baby to see how dark they're going to be. I've had kids come to me and complain that my grandmother never takes me with her because I'm not light enough. Or the flip side, because not only do we have light skin supremacy, we got black skin supremacy, where the grandmother don't want to be bothered with none of the light skinned children.